Hello, everybody. Welcome to Coffee Time with Byron. I am your host, Byron. We are live on YouTube right now and available on all podcasting apps like Google, Spotify, Apple, iHeart, you name it, all of them the following day. But alongside me via StreamYard for episode number 88 is former NHLer Mike Brown. Thank you for joining us. How are you tonight?
I'm all good. Just finishing up at work here in Langley, British Columbia. Sun decided to come out. A little late today, though.
So I got to ask you what's begin with this. I want to start off with this before we get to you being drafted in your career. The Olympics was just here last year, and I see you played for the national team. Is that true?
Not that I'm aware of. I went to World Junior tryouts, but didn't make the team back in like '99, I think.
Okay, cool. All right, no problem with that. That's why I'd ask because I saw it right here. So now let's get to your draft. You were 195th overall by the Canucks in '04. Uh,
I
did
think
you
you
think
got the other one.
I
I
got the other
think
one?
that's the other Mike Brown. I was draft '97 by Florida.
Ah, sorry about that. I don't know where this is coming from. I don't, typed in you. Sorry. Okay, so Panthers, right?
Yep.
I don't know why it took me to this then. Hold on. Okay, now I finally got it. Okay. All right. Stupid media. Okay. So let's do this now. You were drafted, like you said, in '97, 20th overall by the Florida Panthers. Sorry about that. Sorry for the misinformation. That's why I hate social media. uh so did you think you were going to go that high in the draft, or did you think you were actually going to go where you went 20th overall, first round in that draft?
I knew I wasn't getting past Florida. Um, we had a pretty good relationship. I knew they wanted me. It was just a matter if I was going to slide to them. A couple other teams had shown interest, so it was, kind of 50-50 if I was going to make it to them, and I did. So, yeah, that's where I ended up.
Now, tell us a little bit about your time there. Did you enjoy? Did you come close to any playoffs? How was your tenure there with the Panthers?
Well, my first camp as an 18-year-old was pretty good. Um, my first NHL camp, it was pretty cool being down in Florida. And then my second camp went real well. I was one of the last cuts that year, went back to junior. And then in January that year, I got traded to Vancouver. So that was kind of all she wrote with me in Florida.
Now, you made your NHL debut against a team that you were traded to, the Vancouver Canucks. Tell us about your first game. Uh, how'd you enjoy your first game?
Well, my first game was with the Canucks. I was playing for the farm team in Kansas City, and the game was in St. Louis. So I got called up that morning, flew into St. Louis, had lunch with the team, had a nap, and yeah, it was a pretty whirlwind day. Um, got to see all the guys in the room. Obviously, they were excited. Good bunch of guys, and then yeah, before I know it, I'm lined up against Chris Pronger and Al McInnes, and kind of a wake up call that I was in the NHL.
Now, who? Now, obviously, you were a rookie coming up. what veteran or coaches took you under their wing and helped you learn the game when you were first coming up?
Well, I mean, kind of on every team, there's some good veteran guys. Our coach in Kansas City was Stan Smeal, who's a legend in the Canuck fan base in British Columbia for what he did in the 80s and early 90s. So, I mean, him being the coach, I grew up watching him, so he was an easy guy to listen and learn from. And then obviously, yeah, there's a bunch of vets along the way that help out.
So, unfortunately, you would only play 15 games with the Canucks. And then after that season, you joined the Mighty Ducks for the 02-03 season, and you score your only NHL goal. Do you remember who it was against that you got your first NHL goal? And did you get to keep the puck?
Yeah, that was against Phoenix. They were called Phoenix at the time. I think they're Arizona now, aren't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, they were Phoenix back then. I think it was Brian Boucher. And yeah, the team made a pretty nice plaque that's up at my mom's house.
That's good. I mean, at least you got to keep the puck. And I know you want.
Yeah, it's pretty standard. I mean, if you don't usually have to go chase it down. Your teammates will go grab it for you, and you do the same for them.
I know you wanted to get more NHL goals, but unfortunately, obviously you didn't. I mean, that had to sting you a little bit that you didn't. You only got one goal.
Yeah, I mean, but realistically, there's a hell of a lot of guys out there, probably some that were better than me that never got a goal. So sure, I would have loved to score 50 a year and that, but that just wasn't in the cards.
So then you appear after you leave Anaheim. You appear with the Blackhawks in the 05-06 season in 2 games before you retire. Did you know you were going to retire? Did you know your career was over?
I mean, I felt good, but it was just kind of, I had some decisions to make. If I wanted to stay in the minors and play onesie, twosie games in the NHL, or did I want to find a new career by 30, or do I want to do it by 40 when chances are I'm going to be more beat up and it's going to be a bit of a tougher run. So, I made a goal for myself after my son was born to get back to the NHL, and so he could see me play after he was born. And I got a couple extra games in there, so it worked out.
There you go. Now, according to this, you can tell me if this is true or not. Again, sorry for earlier. This is why I hate trusting this, but it's the only thing I could find. It says right here you are currently a general manager of Harley Davidson. Is that true?
That is true. Yeah, right. No, others. There you go. Yeah, currently in my office right now doing this. So
Perfect.
been doing it just over a year.
How'd that decision come about that you wanted to do that?
Well, I got into car sales and then, got promoted to manager and general sales manager and that. And then the opportunity came along in our dealer group, and the owners needed a general manager at their flagship store here. So I said, we had a meeting and things worked out, and it's been a pretty good decision thus far.
Now, tell us about, you're also a part of, obviously, the Vancouver Canucks alumni, and you appear on podcasts. So how many podcasts have you been a part of, and do you get to go to all the alumni nights that the Vancouver Canucks have?
Yeah, I've been with Canuck alumni basically probably 15, 16 years now. Great bunch of guys, do a lot of great community work in the community, do some pretty cool events. I actually manage the communications committee with social media and that for them. Just getting our brand out there more. So yeah, it's not a lot of time, but there's a lot of cool stuff that we get to be a part of. I mean, we put on a concert, we put on charity games, golf tournaments. Looking to expand that stuff here now that hopefully COVID's behind us.
Now, obviously, before the NHL, you played in the AHL, which is their minor leagues, and the IHL, which I guess would be also their minor leagues, I guess. Uh, is the play different from NHL, or is it pretty much the same play? Because I don't follow the minors or whatever, or IHL. I don't follow that. So is it the same type of play, or is it faster, slower? What is it compared to the NHL?
Mm, It's probably, yeah. I mean, if you follow baseball and that, it's probably AAA to the major leagues. So there's a lot of really good players down there that either played before or on their way up. And there's guys that go up and down, such as I did. It's good hockey. It's entertaining, and yeah, it's kind of the proving ground. You do well down there, you're going to get your time in the big leagues.
For sure. Now, out of all your games that you had in the NHL, is there one that you can remember that besides your first goal and your debut, that was, oh yes, I made it here. This is my welcome to the NHL moment.
I mean, my first game, first period, I fought Reed Lowe, and then the next year, I mean, I fought The Rock and Stu Grimson, and those were two pretty big guys and legends, and I held my own. So, you know, I guess that those would be them. But I mean, even in the minors, there's some very, very, very big and tough people that you gotta go against even to get a shot moving up.
Speaking of Reed Lowe, I just had him recently on my podcast as well.
Yeah,
Good guy.
Reed's a good man, tough dude.
Do you have do you did you ever connect with him? Did you have a chance to talk to him, hang with him, or just
I see him. I see him on social media. You know, it's such, especially the last few years. Everybody's so bubbleized and that.
right?
I mean, you keep track of where guys are, and you hope they're doing well, and that's about it.
So, if you weren't doing your gig now with managing and obviously with the alumni that you do, uh, would you ever think about maybe getting into coaching? Like, if your kids wanted to get into hockey, would you want to coach?
Mm, well, my son's going to be 19 this summer, and he hasn't played. And then my daughter just turned 5. I don't know if I'd get involved with coaching. I'd be supportive in that, um, and offer my opinions. But yeah, you know, it doesn't really interest me. I guess I do my coaching and managing here with my staff.
There you go. There you go. I mean, hey, it's something at least.
Yeah.
um, so I'm sure you still follow the game, obviously, because you're with the alumni. I want to talk about your Canucks. Where do you see them going this year? How well can they compete in the West?
I mean, I just sort of started watching it again. I'm a big football guy. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, NASCAR's back going again, so that's my Sunday for a
Mm-hmm.
couple hours. But I mean, they're doing well. You know, coaching change sure helped. It's good. It's going to be interesting with the trade deadline coming up here, who goes and who stays, because one of the best players in the league right now is sitting on the Canucks, and I mean, yeah, I don't envy the decisions their GM has to make.
Now, I know your little short tenure there with the Panthers. Did you have a chance to play against the interstate rivals, the Lightning?
Uh, just exhibition, I believe.
And I know they're just exhibition, but I don't. I actually it was. I don't know if it was kind of a rivalry back then, honestly, because I know the Bolts were still good, but I know the Panthers weren't. So I don't know. I don't know if you would consider that a rivalry or not back in the day.
Yeah, I mean it was so long ago, and they were still pretty new to the league. I mean, Florida had that run there
Yeah.
for the final. I mean, coming off of that though, yeah, I mean they were going a lot younger when I was there, and that's, you know, I was excited about that, and obviously just the trade happened. So
Now, could you see the Bolts? I know it's tough, but could you see them three-peating this year?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I haven't paid that much attention, but I gotta imagine they're one of the favorites. So I mean, it's tough to argue with that core.
Very true. Now, obviously, you said you're a football fan, and so am I. Who's your team, and what would you like them to do this offseason?
Well, yeah, it's a bit of a circus for my favorite team, but the Packers are my team. Well, they got A-Rod back, so I don't have to switch what my favorite team is. They're gonna have to deal with Devontae. And yeah, he's just got to find a way to get that second ring so he can shut some of the haters up.
Yeah, so I know. Yeah, obviously, they said he said himself it wasn't for money, but that's kind of a hypocrite if you ask me. If it wasn't about money, then why would you take the Packers' money if it wasn't
Yeah,
about money the whole
that's a
time?
lot of money. I mean, I just sort of sat back, and I'm in a couple fantasy football leagues, so there's plenty of banner there. They know who, and I mean, yeah, there's a couple other Packers fans, so we took some heat, but it is what it is. I mean, money does talk at the end of the day. So you still got to go out there and earn it. And MVPs are one thing, and they're great, and he'll end up in the hall. But I got to see that second ring.
With Brady coming back, are you concerned that Rodgers won't get it this year?
I personally, I'm the type of guy that I want him to go through Brady and earn it. Like he had his chance 2 years ago, and
he failed.
Yeah. So you know what? To be the man, you got to beat the man. Not that anybody's gonna take down Brady on that, but at least get that elusive second ring.
And now, obviously, you said you're also a NASCAR fan, so I used to be a big NASCAR fan myself until everybody I grew up watching retired. Now I hardly watch it because I don't really know anybody. But from what I have heard, they've gone through the stages now. One stage one, stage two, and then the winner. I don't kind of get that. What is that?
I'm still figuring it out. Like I've even Googled it and that, and it's just what, I start really paying attention in the final stage, I guess, and away we go. So my guy's kind of dragging ass this year, but hopefully he picks it up soon.
I get, like, I'm guessing from what I understand is the one person who actually wins the race gets qualified for the finals, but stage one and whoever wins stage one or stage two doesn't get anything. Like how weird is that?
Yeah, it is.
Like, what's the point in that?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think I had it figured out last year, and then I probably forgot. But
so did you watch?
It's all about the last 50 laps, anyhow, for me.
So did you watch the first race then at what's that place? The first time ever.
Coliseum.
Yeah, at the Coliseum.
Yeah, that was cool. They did a good job. That was a good show.
Do you think they'll have that every year?
I don't know why they would. It looked awesome. The race. I mean,
I'm thinking they will. I saw that it was a sold out.
It was a different race, though. I mean, that it was super short.
Right.
But like not Bristol. A bad way to start the year.
Yeah, like Bristol. I would have to say it's just a short. Yeah. I'm surprised you could even make a football field out and turn that into a freaking racetrack. Kudos to them. However, they did that. I when I saw that, I was like, really? You can make a football stadium and turn that into a racetrack? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, wow. So do you have a favorite driver now?
Yeah, Martin Truex. I like the Bass Pro drivers. Dylan Dylan will win some races down the road here.
Yeah, isn't he? Let's see. What is he? I think. What team is he? I want to say. Crap.
Who's
I
that?
used.
Austin? They're both Bass Pro team.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
what
I'm
I
trying
care
to think.
about.
I'm trying to think who owns them. No,
Oh,
I can't think. Oh well. Anywho, so let's get when you were growing up and you wanted to play hockey, and before you got drafted, uh, did you have any idols that you looked up to that you wanted to idol your game off of?
well, I mean, sorry, just checking one thing here. Like growing up, like Lemieux was awesome to watch. Bure when he first came in was ridiculous, and then just the size and speed and power of Eric Lindros. Also loved, Bob Probert was cool as hell to watch because he's like the guy would score and beat the hell out of half the team. So it was pretty. It was a good era growing up.
Yeah, it was. I can say that for a fact because I grew up in the '90s era, so I
Yeah.
know all about that. this day and era, I still watch it and I still enjoy it, but it's not the same. It seems like what's that word I'm looking for? Hockey. They changed the sport so much. Like especially fighting, it's like more of when you played, they actually fought to fight. Now
Yeah.
now it's just they're fighting just for entertainment purposes. It's like WWE style.
Yeah, it's not. Some of them kind of look a little silly. So, but I guess it's just changed. I mean, we were fighting for keeps back then. So some of them are a little slappy and just swing our arms and leave the helmets on and all that. But you know what? It's better than nothing, I guess. At least
So
guys know they will.
So how many fights did you get in your career, and how many penalty minutes do you think you accumulated in the NHL?
Oh, how many fights? I don't know what I played. 34 games. I probably had 17, 20 fights. And then PIMS, I guess it would be there on Hockey DB. I didn't really add them up. Most of the time, normally it's my friends and that reminding me.
Did you win any of those fights?
I like to think I didn't lose any. At least I didn't. Oh, I know I didn't lose any bad, so that was good.
There you go. There you go. Is there one particular fight that you remember out of them all? I mean, you got to have at least one sort of fight you remember the most.
Well, I mean, one of my coolest ones happened in the IHL when I fought Marty McSorley. So that was cool. Fighting George Larocque twice. That's people obviously know who he was and how tough he was. So first one's always a big one. Grimson's a legend. Fought Scotty Parker a bunch coming up. I fought Bugard twice in the minors. Fought Sean Thornton a bunch in the minors. So yeah, I mean, I fought a lot of the guys that were household names in that era.
So, as a former player, do you honestly like, as we talked about, which way the game is going nowadays? As a former player, do you honestly like how it's going? How they babied it so much? Or do you not care?
I mean, not just so the fighting, like the stage fighting was a little ridiculous. I always tried to fight for a reason. My thing is it just bubble wrapped everything so much that like guys are barely hitting each other, and then if they do hit somebody that has their head down, the onus is on the guy that hit. I mean, we grew up, if we got rocked because our head was down, we get told to take our head out of our ass. protect ourselves. Like somebody's going to get hurt really bad because they're turning towards the boards, and that's just not how I grew up playing. And realistically, I mean, you should protect yourself, and it's a tough game. Like take a hit. So this is my kind of 2 cents on it, which most people have heard.
Do you think all that changed because of that? I'm sure you remember this. I remember it. The Todd Bertuzzi incident, what he did to. Do you think that's why they babied it as much as they have to take that out of the game?
That was a different one, and I know Todd. I saw him last year. I love Todd. Todd's a great guy. He treated me great when I was a rookie in Vancouver. That was just kind of an unfortunate situation, in my opinion. Um, I've seen a hell of a lot worse not end up that bad. That I mean, you look at it. He punched the guy in the cheek with his glove on, and there's that much padding in these gloves. It's everybody falls on, and yeah, shit happens, and it sucks for Steve Moore, but I mean, it was just one of those kind of ugly things that you know you wish wouldn't have happened, and you know what? Probably 99 times out of 100, if that were to happen again, it wouldn't end up in the same result. So, just a shitty situation. I mean, you look at what Austin Matthews did the other night in the Heritage Classic, where he jumped up.
Yeah, he got suspended for that. Yeah,
but 2 games, right?
yeah, 2
Like,
games.
that was like to me that's worse. Like he jumped and took a cross check to the guy's head, but the result wasn't bad. The result could have been terrible.
Yeah,
But it's just in terms of optics and stuff I've seen over the years, it's like you take 10 instances of what Todd did and you take 10 instances of what Austin did, the result's probably going to go the other way on most of them.
Now
So,
speaking like you said with that instance, like you said of the when that happened, that was outside. I might add, like you said when you brought that up, that's the question I wanted to ask you next. With the NHL doing outside games now, I know they didn't do it when you played, but if you were offered to play in those type of games when you played, would you have done it?
absolutely. I think that's one thing now. I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of them, but I think they're doing them really well. I tune into them. They've just kind of taken that next level and kind of gotten that, almost that NFL intensity and showcasing that takes them to that next level. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it would have been cool to get that. Like, I mean, we had practices on outdoor rinks and that was really cool just to switch it up and go old school. But yeah, unfortunately, I never got to play in an actual outdoor game.
Now, the Olympics were just here. What'd you think about the NHL banning NHL players from going over to play?
I'm not overly impressed with the whole Olympics in China and that type of thing that happened this year, especially with what's gone on in the last 2 years. But I do believe if you're going to have the best of the best, NHL should be there.
Agreed. But yeah, I guess they had sent over all their minor league players over there, and obviously, of course, the women they won the gold. The men, I think, I don't know what, I think they finished bronze. I think, I don't know, gold, silver or bronze. I don't remember what, but I'm sure it would have been a lot different if they would have allowed NHL players to actually play in that, because pretty much every Olympics, at least Team USA is winning it. Usually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know who won the gold in men's hockey or women's. I legit watched zero Olympic coverage, so you know, and yeah, so I don't really know who won or any of that. I saw kind of updates on gold medal count here and there on social media, but yeah, I didn't really pay any attention.
I'm sure if you were offered to play in it, would you have played it? Played it back in the day if you would have been offered it?
Oh, back in the day,
Yeah,
like the best of the best are going.
yeah,
Absolutely. Oh yeah, like I think the best of the best should be there.
yeah, and I'm sure you would have enjoyed to play it too if you had the chance. If they would
Oh
have
yeah.
invited you, if they would have invited you, as I think that's
Oh
how
yeah.
it goes. I
Yeah, I
think
mean,
that's how
I
they
kind of
invite
knew
you.
where I stood. You know, I don't think I was ever thinking I was going to get invited to the Olympics for Canada, but would have been cool.
So obviously, you played here in the U.S. and compared over to Canada. I know the U.S. is slowly trying to make hockey one of their main sports, but it's not like it is in Canada because you know it. You live up there in Canada, so you know how it is. It's like their national sport. Do you think the U.S. can go up to that? I know baseball here and is supposedly the pastime, but I think that's kind of changing. Fans are growing away from the game. So do you think hockey has a chance to be like you guys up in Canada and become the sport?
I don't know if it'll necessarily be the sport in the U.S., but with the size of of the U.S. and the money that you guys have down there, and there's no reason why you can't develop top tier. I mean, you look at the 2010 Olympics, the U.S. was one shot away from winning gold. Canada, you know, Sweden's up there, and Sweden's considerably smaller. I mean, I put them up. I put them up in the elite categories for hockey nations in the world already.
Now, growing up, how tough was it to play the game? Because I know, just like baseball, the travel, the the um, the gear and everything, that was a lot of money. So how tough was that to just get all that stuff to get to play?
It was tough. I mean, it's a massive sacrifice for parents and families. Um, Obviously, it's expensive, but I mean, back in my day, it was pretty much all minor hockey programs. Now they kind of make them like the academies and that. So I mean, it's pricey to get in the academies, but then they travel with the teams and that. I don't necessarily know the ins and outs. I just know my parents sacrificed a hell of a lot for not just me, but my brother and sister also played at pretty good levels growing up. So it's a sacrifice, and you know, I was blessed with amazing parents that did everything they could to give me and my sister, and I the opportunity to see what we can do.
Now, obviously, your son is 19. Did he ever want to play like you did? Did he ever want to play hockey, or was that just not a goal of his?
No, it just wasn't one of those things that he was into, and you know, he's more the education route and that sort of thing, and you know, I support him fully on all that as well.
There you go. So now let's talk about the podcast you've done. Uh, how many podcasts like this have you done? And uh, I also want to ask about the alumni too. Uh, how many alumni are with you in the Vancouver alumni?
Oh, well, I've probably done half a dozen podcasts here and there. I've been on, you know, I've co-hosted some radio shows locally here, so it's fun to get back on it and chat and talk about history, and then talk about current stuff going on. So I do enjoy doing them. The alumni, I don't know. There's got to be 100+ members. You know, we're kind of all over the world too. We do have a good portion in the city. Some are getting older and not getting out to as many events as they used to. But yeah, we got a good group. I saw them all at the Christmas skate, and everybody seems to be doing well.
So how often now with COVID do you get to see him? And with before COVID happened, how much did you get to see him before COVID hit?
Well, we do a skate a week, and then usually 4 or 5 golf tournaments a year, and then we put on a concert. And then yeah, I mean, then we do some extra stuff in the community as well. So you can see guys here and there, 5 or 6 times a year at least.
So obviously you notice the Dean brothers. What are they like?
Oh, they're first class. I played with them when they were up and coming. When I was with Van for my stint there, they're professionals, and they're pretty funny guys when you get to know them. And but they're quiet, they're dialed in. I mean, those 2 guys could probably lace them up tomorrow and still look pretty good out there in the NHL.
No, I believe you on that one. Yeah. So let's compare. I know it's tough to say, but a lot of people are still doing this, and I know it's tough to say because different eras. But the goat comparison, Gretzky, and I think the other one was, I believe it was either or Lemieux. Who do you think is the GOAT of all time in hockey?
You probably got to go with you got to go with Gretzky. Just his body of work. I mean, it's unfortunate for his career was cut short, but I mean, Gretzky did it for a long time, and some of his records are just silly. So Gretzky would have my vote.
Did you ever get to meet Gretzky while you were playing?
I think he was coaching in Phoenix one of the years I was called up. Never actually met him personally though.
I have to agree with you. I think he was. I watched the majority of his career growing up, so I'd have to agree with you. There was nobody like him skating. There was no. I mean, he holds all the records. I don't think there's anybody close that comes to his records. I don't think at all.
The only one kind of is Ovechkin and his goal record, but other than that, like there's some astronomical numbers that he put up, and yeah, it's tough not to give him the nod.
Even that, I don't think Ovechkin will break his record because it. Even though hockey has changed to where everybody's scoring a lot nowadays. You got to think Ovechkin's on his last legs. He's going on in his 40s almost.
Mid 30s ish. Yeah, I mean,
so he don't have much time left to go unless he plays in his
40s. Sorry. He just loves the game, and he's figured out he's grown with the game. I'm rooting for it. Gretzky's got a ton of records. It'd be cool to see Ovechkin get close.
Now, obviously, unfortunately, you didn't get to play for Stanley Cup champion, but I'm sure you've heard of stories of what players do with the cup. If you would have won the cup per se, what would you have done with the cup? Because I think each player gets their day with the cup or night with the cup. What would you do with yours?
It would have been a family and friends thing, probably at a cabin or something small and immediate. I mean, I'm pretty chill that way. I kind of want to be around the people I want to be around and enjoy the good times and make sure that they feel a part of it because they would have all been a part of it and helping me through the journey as well.
So a couple more questions before I let you go. Now, I know you just started getting back into hockey since football is gone, and I know you're still in the NASCAR on Sundays, so you're just getting back into hockey. Is there a standout team that you've seen so far that you think can win the Stanley Cup?
Other than Tampa?
Other than Tampa.
You know what? The Calgary and Colorado look good in the West. Colorado just picked up that Manson kid. That's a good piece to add.
That is a good piece. Yeah, I saw that.
So it's going to be an interesting next couple of weeks. See who goes where and who picks up who. So I might have to see then. But a Daryl Sutter coach team, they can score. They got I still think Markstrom's an underrated goalie. I just think he's that good and he can take them deep. So I guess between them and Colorado will be whoever gets better goaltending.
Well, what about your Panthers in the East? Can they compete with the Bolts? Because they're pretty good. They put the Bolts up for their money at times during the regular season.
Yeah, I mean they could. I guess it kind of depends how many miles are on the Lightning too, right? Like they're playing a lot of extra games these last 2 years. So, but I mean, yeah, I'd probably those would be my 3 standout teams right now, I guess.
So the final question I have for you, it's a 2-part question. I ask this to everybody. I know you're not coaching, but if you were, what would you tell kids or adults, whatever you were coaching, to get to where you played in the NHL, your highest level? And the second part is define your career in one word.
Well, I always just tell people work hard and have fun and learn what you can along the way. That's kind of how I grew up. I mean, those were my rules from my parents. If they're going to buy me skates and waste gas money, I better work hard and it better still be enjoyable for me to do. In terms of, what was the second question there again? What was the second question again? Sorry.
You're good. Define your career in one word.
Enjoyable. I mean, looking back, it was fun. I got, it wasn't always sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns, but I got to see a lot of places, meet a lot of people, have a lot of great memories. So I made the best of it, I believe.
There you go. Couldn't have said it any better. And I'm going to leave off this with this question real quick. You were a left wing. Now, I'm a fan of the game, obviously, but I'm still trying to get confused. I'm still a little bit confused I've been confused on the positions. There's left wing, right wing, defense, and goalie, obviously. Each has their different role. So what was your definition of your goal as a left wing?
It was keep it simple, stupid. Get it. Make sure my D-man doesn't score. Help out on the backside in my end. Get the puck out of my end. Get it in at their end and go get it back and try and get it in the back of their net.
There you go.
Pretty simple game.
Perfect. Well, yep. I do thank you for your time. It was fun. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'll send you the link after we're done.
Okay.
So you can post it on that as well or whatever. But it was fun. I do appreciate your time.
Yep.
You have a good night. Stay safe. And like I said, if you know anybody else, please send them my way.
Sounds good.
So I appreciate it.
All right, my man.
Definitely. You stay safe and have a good night, all right?
You too. Thank you.
No problem. All right. Bye.